Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, the Too Opinionated podcast could really use your help. And it's easy, it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. We came in at number 82. That's a big deal because there's 15 million podcasts and growing. So to be named to anybody's top 100 list, pretty big deal for us. And the way you can help is to go to imdb.com, look up the Too Opinionated podcast, and that's it. Just bringing our page up. That traffic really helps us out. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. All we ask is that you subscribe. It's also free, but that really helps us to attract these amazing guests that we keep bringing on the program. And that's it. 2 easy ways for you to support us, and we would really appreciate the help. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I'm so excited today. Got one of my favorite actresses, Susan Ruttan, with me. So welcome, Susan.
Thank you.
You know, I wanted to ask you because I've been watching you for most of my life. So you've been doing this for a little while.
Yeah.
So I've got my list of shows that I think was the first time I've ever seen you on TV.
Okay.
You'll have to tell me which one's first because I got a couple. So here's my list.
The first one, well, I don't know. I mean, you may not ever have seen this. My first show. Well, I did a movie. I was in Tilt with Brooke Shields, but very, very tiny role. Nobody ever knew me. And then when I came to Los Angeles, my very first job was on Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, yeah, that was the Dukes of Hazzard spinoff,
yeah.
right?
Well, Mills Watkins, was one of them. And I had one line, and it probably was the hamburger, because he ended up in the hospital with food poisoning. But somehow they kept redoing the schedule. I was supposed to be there for 1 day and probably 2 hours. I was there for a week, and I thought, oh my God, this is Hollywood. Yeah, so that was the first one. That was great.
Well, that's pretty good. Okay, so I didn't think of that one. So the
Okay,
ones that I was going to give you was Quincy.
Oh yeah,
which was my mother's favorite show back in the day.
Now, did you punch somebody on that?
What's that?
I think I punched somebody on that.
Well, that sounds right.
Yeah,
I would have seen it because that was one she watched with me, but it's been too long.
I think it was Morgan Fairchild, and we were at a Weight Watchers meeting or something, and she was so thin, and she was complaining about it, and I punched her. So
yeah, I don't remember that as a Quincy episode, but I remember that scene.
Yeah, I got to be honest, I don't remember a lot of what I've done because a lot of it was like back to back during that time. But yeah.
Well, so I had that one, Harper Valley PTA, and Bosom Buddies. Those were my three.
Yeah, Harper Valley, I don't really remember what I did on that. But Bosom Buddies, I remember I had to wear these really high platform shoes. And Tom Hanks was very sweet. And Peter Scolari, who was just a doll. It was a really fun experience.
Yeah, that was such a fun show.
It really was. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and you did an episode of AfterMath or MASH, AfterMash.
AfterMash. Did I?
Apparently.
Yeah, I warned you that I may not remember AfterMath. I don't remember that, but if you say it so, I believe you.
I think so. So okay, so I've jumped way out of line. So let me back up.
Yes.
Let's start this way instead of just talking through every single thing you've done, which is a lot. Tell me a little bit about what got you into acting. Why'd you want to become an actress? It's such a difficult profession.
I never planned to be an actor. It wasn't even on my radar. I never thought of that as a job.
Yeah.
I thought they were like little people on television or on a screen. I didn't really think of them as being workers. But I used to make costumes, crazy costumes for myself and other people. And I was trying to figure out what to do with my life. that was not the path that I was on. And a friend of mine was going to school in Santa Cruz, and he said, why don't you move to Santa Cruz, go back to school and study costume design? And I said, okay. So I did. The next day I packed up and I moved to Santa Cruz. I enrolled in school and in the theater department. And a friend of mine who I'd met there she was an actor, and she said, there's an audition at this theater here. The New York director has come in, and I know him. I'm familiar with him. She said, I think you should read for a part in this show. And I said, I don't even know what that means. And she said, well, can you give me a ride to the theater? And I said, sure, I'll do that. So I took her to the theater, and when we got there, she introduced me to Steve Abrams, who was the director. And she said, I want you to read her for the role of Susie in Hot L Baltimore. And he said, why not? So they gave me some sides. And they said, I said, I don't even know what to do with this. He said, just read it like you're talking to somebody. Don't even think about acting it. Just read it like you're the person. And I said, okay. So I got on the stage, and then they started laughing. And I said, I'm sorry, is it supposed to be funny? Because it didn't seem funny. And they said, yes, it is. Just keep going. So I finished. I said, thank you so much. It was so exciting. I said, thank you so much. That was really great. That was fun. So I jumped off the stage, and he said, wait a minute, will you come to callbacks next week? And I said, oh, sure. So I go out and see my friend. She goes, he wants me to come to callbacks. And I said, what is that? She goes, it's a second chance. He liked you. So anyway, next time he said, will you do me the honor of doing this role? And I said, sure. Sure, I will. And I said, but I have to do the costumes for the next show. So that was my bartering system. And I worked at that theater for 5 years, mostly acting, but doing costumes for a number of shows there.
Yeah, that's amazing. You had a backup career before you even started your main career.
I did. It's funny. There's a funny story attached to that we'll talk about later, perhaps. But that was not my goal. It never was my goal. But it was what I found. I had a lot of stuff that had happened in my life that was not good, and I found that the stage was a place where I could use those emotional events, and I could work them out. It was better than therapy. So when I cried on stage, I was really crying, and people would go, well, you made that so real. And I go, yeah, because it was real. Yeah, no fakery
well,
here.
You're not supposed to tell them that it was real.
Yeah, I know, but it's like people, they don't understand the process of an actor, maybe too. That you can't just, if you're faking it, then you're not really doing a good job.
Right.
So for me, it's always been about really being in touch with what's.
Is it difficult when you access those emotions? Is it tough to get out of it once you're done acting, or is it just a switch you turn?
No, it's not. For me, it's not a switch. I know some people can do that. For me, it's not. I have to take some time to get out of it and breathe and return to my normal self.
Yeah. I would think if you're putting a lot of emotional energy into a role, you would think it would take a little bit of time to get back out of that role.
Absolutely. I mean, I think there are a lot of actors who have magnificent technique, and I'm not putting that down in any way because I have no technique at all. I don't. It's like whatever comes out of me is where it is. It's not like I'm not something I ever learned from Strasberg or whatever. I just am who I am, and most of the time that works pretty well.
I was going to say it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah, it's fine. But I had some choices. I was just talking to somebody who was around during that time, and he reminded me that we had done a scene together for something, an audition, and he said, I just often wish that I had taken that path. And I said, the path is not linear. It's many
right.
Things are offered along the way. And I said, I took alternate paths, and I kept coming back to this, and for me, this is what stuck. And you have to allow yourself that freedom to explore those and not say, well, I'm never going to do that again. I'm just going to do this. Right. You never know when it's going to come back to you.
Yeah, that's right. You may pass something over, it may not come back.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
it may come, it may be years later it comes back.
Yes. Or it'll come back in a different form, you know? It's like when I first came down here, I was, I don't know if you could call it arrogant. It was ignorant is probably the better word. That
well, you're probably youthfully confident, as a lot
exactly,
of us are.
that's it. So I said, you know what? I don't really know about the television film business, really. I think I'll get a job in casting, and then I can learn how it's done behind the scenes. Now, getting a job in casting is not like as simple as like applying at the grocery store. But I happened to mention to a friend, and he happened to know somebody who was going to Universal at its first casting position, and I said, he goes, I'll give you your name and give you your name and you could call him. And so I called him. I said, oh, so Gary, hi, this is Susan. Paul told me to call you. I said, look, I worked for Pacific Bell for 6 months and I learned how to answer phones professionally. I took typing in school and shorthand. I could be your assistant very easily, but I can only give you a year because what I really want to do is act. And he said, okay. So I ended up working him for not quite a year because he moved on to another position, but he was at Universal, and that's where I got my first job because the casting people knew that I was an actor or wanted to be an actor, and they hired me for that, and it sort of expanded from there. So, but
that's pretty great because a lot of people wouldn't have went into another area.
Right. No, so I did a number of casting jobs. I worked at Paramount. I worked with other casting directors, and then I was casting some projects myself. And then I got a pilot while I was casting a movie, and I said, you know, I think I'm going to take this path for a while, and then I did. I stuck with that.
What was the pilot?
Oh, the pilot was something George, Susan St. James. And it was
I like her.
I
like her. Wasn't she let's see, what was the show she did? Was it Hardcastle?
Yeah, no, it was with oh God, my brain.
Same.
You'll find it eventually, faster than will.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what her big series was.
Yeah, I know. I can see the actor, and I'm
doing the same thing. It'll come to me. We'll come back.
Yeah.
We'll come back.
It was a fun pilot. It was probably way ahead of its time because it was a man who knew he was dying, and he programmed his whole house to retain his personality. And he talked to his wife in the house, and it was funny. It was very funny, but it was probably too early for it.
Well, with TV, that's the case a lot of times. You know, there's a lot of shows that don't make it just because they're a decade earlier than they should. Yeah. Well, did you act through school, or was that when you went in to the one theater? Was that your first acting?
Well, I was in a convent boarding school.
Okay.
So I did plays there, but excuse me, it wasn't like, it wasn't real. It was like
right.
The nuns were directing, and everything was kind of cut to make sure there was nothing that we shouldn't be saying. I remember we did Finian's Rainbow.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten to play a nun for a TV or a movie?
I did for Shameless. Well,
that's right. That's right.
She was a former nun. She had just left, and she was now a former nun. That's how she could kill people. So
that's that. Well, in her head, that's how it made it okay.
Yeah, that allowed it. Yes, she probably wouldn't go to hell for this one.
That was pretty good. That's pretty good. So okay, so tell me your funny story. You had a funny story.
A funny story. Oh, now I've forgotten. What was it about?
We were talking about how you got your start.
Oh, okay. Well, I did a show recently called A Man on the Inside.
We loved it. We loved it.
Well, when I went in to read for the show, the first description of the character was she's a former costume designer and in theater. And I thought, Do they know me?
I was going to say they wrote that for you.
Did they write that about me? No, it was just some fortuitous stars coming together. But it really set the tone for me in that show because I had a lot of memories of being a costume designer and all the things that went into doing that and gathering up pieces and fabrics and jewelry and all that stuff to create the look. So her intentions in the show were purely ones that I had already experienced. Yeah. So I knew it was mine when I read those words.
Yeah, that has to be a good feeling because that probably doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't. No.
Yeah.
Mostly you have to stretch, you have to find the connections. But this one was like, okay, this is me then. That's fine.
You know what we loved about that show was that just about everybody in it, no matter how big a role they had, you knew who they were. Like you recognized them as an actor. I love that.
Oh my God. Everybody in that show was so great. Everybody was so great. Everybody was so comfortable with themselves and each other. I mean, I tell everybody this. They must get sick of hearing me say it, but I say everything was so perfect on that show. The producers are magnificent. Ted Danson is also uber magnificent, a beautiful person to work with. Everybody on there, that the script was great. Everything, the wardrobe was fantastic.
Yeah, we love the costumes on there, and your character especially. I mean, that's it. I mean, her character, the stuff she wore looked exactly like what you would expect her to wear.
Exactly. So I said, if I never work again, having had this experience, I'll be okay. Nothing, and I've worked a lot, and nothing else has ever matched the purity of that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and what a fun show because it was lighthearted, but it was a mystery, which was fun.
Yeah. And it was sad too.
It was bittersweet.
Emotion was going through it. Yeah. I say to myself, how can they ever do another season that will match that? But they're magical writers and producers, so I'm sure they will.
I'm hoping that they do another season, but yeah, do they put him back in that same nursing home or does he go to a different one?
We're gone, and I'm demented, so I won't be around anymore. No, he'll move on to a new location, a new assignment. Yeah.
Well, and I'm okay with that because Ted Danson's terrific, and I'm sure they'll get another great cast. But I love this cast. I hate to see a lot of them go.
I know. I mean, we all hate to go, but
is it fun? Is it fun when you're on a set and it's basically all veteran actors that have been doing it forever? I mean, that has to be kind of fun because there's not a lot of stress there.
Everybody is so relaxed.
Yeah.
Just having a good time. And for the most part, they just go on. They're in their character immediately. They don't have to think about it. They're not trying to prove themselves to anybody, or prove themselves to get another job. They don't have to.
Yeah.
And I swear, Ted Danson is the magic ingredient that without him, my character, who I only worked with him and one other person, Kat, who's my caretaker.
Right.
She was so sweet. Ted, I couldn't have done what I did without Ted. It was a two-way street coming together and perfect harmony.
Yeah. Yeah. Your scenes with him were terrific. Love those. Well, no, Sally Struthers was on there. It was fun seeing her back on screen.
Oh my God, now Sally and I are friends. I'm friends with most of the people who were on I mean, some of them don't really, a couple are more private people.
Right.
So I couldn't glom onto their contact information. But most of them I'm in contact with. We talk, we get together. And
great.
Catherine, who was my assistant on the show, my person who watch over me, is just a sweet person, and I've become really good friends with her.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we're going to see Wicked next week. So yeah, it's the show with benefits.
I had in my memories, we went to see Wicked in 2018, but it was today, 6 years ago. I was like, hey, I was at Wicked 6 years ago.
Oh, you got notified?
Yeah, it showed up on my Facebook memories.
Yeah, right.
I was like, oh, okay.
I didn't remember anything.
I know. It's so good. So good.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, you'll enjoy. And we haven't seen the movie yet, but we're going to that, I think, over the break, over Christmas break. Yeah, it should be pretty good. Should be pretty good.
Oh yeah, everybody's saying that.
I hope that we get a season 2, but even if we don't, it ended. It was very satisfying.
Yes, it was complete, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, it told the story. Yeah, I'd like to see more of the characters, but the story was told. It gave you a pretty satisfying ending.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it was. You could walk away from that going, "Oh, okay,
yeah,
that was good."
it was pretty nice. Although I miss the days where we got 20 or so episodes in a season.
Yeah, me too. It's
They're
different.
so short.
I mean, honestly, there's not that much work anymore.
Yeah.
And I heard, it's a rumor I heard here that big AI studios are being built to store all the computers for making AI, which makes me a little sad.
It's a little scary.
Yeah, it is. So I'm not sure for how long acting will be a real job.
Yeah.
Because they can then create anybody they want and they don't have to pay them.
I know. That's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I'm older. So, for me, it's like, okay, I see an end to this, but for people who are just starting out in their dreams of being an actor, and it's really bad. There's just nothing going on here.
Well, yeah. And everything's so short. And the only good thing I'll say about all of the stuff we've had the last few years, the pandemic, all the strikes, all that, the only thing that I'll say is that we seem to be getting back to more story-driven content, character content, instead of just relying on the special effects.
Yes. Yeah.
Of course, I'm saying that with knowing that AI is coming.
Yes. Well, you know what? It's kind of like we don't have to think about that right now.
That's right.
Not
There's just enjoy the good stories.
There's a cloud on the horizon, but let's not look that way.
That's right. You never know. A windstorm may come and blow it in a different direction. You never know.
It's true. You can't focus on it. Yeah, it's like any other, thing that we fear. We just have to let it be where it is, and we can't let it ruin our lives or rule our lives.
I think the definition. I think the definition of an adult is just the ability to segment parts of your life so you don't just spend all your time worrying.
I absolutely agree with that. I live my life that way. I don't worry about, if a friend of mine was ill, I would worry about her.
Of course.
But larger things in life, I don't worry about, particularly when there's nothing I can do. And if there is something I can do, I do it. But it may not affect the impact of but I can't do anything about that.
But then you can't spend all your time just worrying and being so that you don't do anything else.
No, you have to enjoy your life, whatever it is. You have to find enjoyment somewhere. So I do my best with that. I'm a pretty happy person.
Yeah.
I don't like negativity at all. I don't really like to allow that into my life.
No, I'm the same way. As I've gotten older, I tend to weed the negative out of my life. Sometimes that's people. Sometimes it's just content or whatever's coming my way. Yes.
Yeah. If something brings that into your life, you've got to either push it out or correct it.
That's right.
I'm really okay with telling people how you're behaving and what you're saying is not okay with me, and it's not okay in my arena. So if you want to be in my arena, if you want to be with me, it has to be not that. You can't do that. And I don't do it in a mean way, because they're perfectly free to go and do that anywhere else. It's not with me.
Yeah, no negativity here.
Nope.
Want that?
No. I've had a couple of other jobs. One that I'm just auditioned for, but it was really fun. But I did a pilot called Woodstockers. The people who never left. We shot it back in Woodstock and at the farm.
How fun!
Yeah, it was really.
Well, when's that one coming out?
Well, we don't know. It has to be sold still,
Well, is it a movie or a series?
Pilot.
Oh, it's okay. So it could be.
Yeah, but the producers say if they can't sell it, if they can't get anybody to buy it, they're willing to rewrite it as a movie. So we'll see. But the best part about it was there's a character that dies in the project, and they have to have a funeral for him, and so they put out a notice for extras to come to the funeral, and so about 40 people showed up, and they all looked like they were straight out of Woodstock. They all looked, and they lived that way. All the men had long white hair, long beards. The women had long hair. They were all wearing like the hippie clothes from 1970.
Yep.
It was so perfect. I loved it there. I didn't go to Woodstock, but now I can say that I did.
That's amazing. That had to be just a blast.
It was completely a blast. Standing on the Bethel Field where the festival was held. I mean, I swear you could feel the music still there.
Well, it's such good music.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had no idea they were doing that, but I love that idea because there's all kinds of people that are still living in that time.
Absolutely. I mean, I am to a degree. I mean, I'm still a huge, Grateful Dead fan, and I lived in San Francisco, and I grew into California that way. I came from Oregon down to California in 1966. In San Francisco, and I came down on a bus. I was going to see my mother, who was living here in California, and I came on a bus. And it went through the park, Golden Gate Park, and through the window I saw a man. Now I had just come out of convent school. Okay, I saw a man standing in the park, waving at me, and he looked like Jesus. He had long hair, he's wearing a long white robe, and I said, "I'm home." Yeah, it was a pretty amazing place to be.
I was a Jimmy Buffett fan, still am, but I spent my time kind of following him around. My wife is Fish. That was her kind of that Grateful Dead like band.
Yeah, right.
With that, and there's just something about when you go to those, because it's not just a show, it's a whole event, because they've got the tailgating, and some of them stay after the show and are still kind of partying, listening to music. I mean, it's a whole, if you go to show, you may be there all weekend.
Oh yeah. No, that was a time. It was a real time. Real time in history. I mean, I saw Janis Joplin, I don't know how many times. I wanted to be Janis Joplin.
Yeah, she's amazing. What a voice.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you miss the I was thinking about, I was a teenager in the 80s, and they were the best. Like NBC Thursday night, the best night of TV, I think, ever, like all time.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Because you had your comedy block, and then you had the the drama at 10 o'clock, which started, I think, was Hill Street Blues, and then LA Law came in.
Yeah. Oh, it was perfect. It was.
I miss those days. That was appointment TV. Yeah, like everybody Thursday night, you knew where they were going to be at 8 o'clock till 11.
Streaming really destroyed that, didn't it? I mean, you watch it, you can watch everything, but you don't have that, whatever they call it,
the water cooler talk. I miss it because you don't have the week between episodes to kind of dissect the episode. And I don't hate the fact that if you missed an episode, you were stuck till the reruns came out. Right. I like that you can go back and watch it, but it did kind of make you be at a place at a certain time to catch the episode, or you miss it.
Yes. Yeah. And friends would get together and watch the show. And it was, really, not to be, I don't want to be downer about where we are right now, but the internet, the cell phones, all this stuff has really altered our communication skills, our ability to get together and have conversations about things, whether it's a show or anything, and I miss that part of the world.
I do too. I miss the like when a series ended, you'd have the party and you'd have everybody over to watch the last episode. I miss that.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. It was important television.
It was. Did you have a rap party for LA Law?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. Yeah, it was sad. I mean, I left early. I left in the 7th season.
Yeah. There was like a season or so left when you left.
One
right?
season. Yeah, I came back in for a couple of episodes, but my son had just been born, and I was tired. I was an old mother, and I was tired, so I had to leave in order to take care of him.
Yeah, that's that show, along with Hill Street Blues, still two of my favorite dramas of all time. I thought they were so well done, so well written, and then the cast was just so good.
Oh God, everybody on it was great. Just like the one they just did, everybody on it was really, really good.
I know.
No, nothing, just solid actors. I wasn't supposed to be a regular on that show. I was hired as a possible, they say possibly recurring.
Right, as a recurring. Well, you were more the like an assistant, like a helper to start.
Yes,
and then it just kept your duties kept expanding.
Well, then after the end of the pilot, Stephen Bochco called me and said, we would like you to be a regular on the show. And I said, I have to think about it, because I was just offered 200 episodes on Mama's Family. And it was a really funny character.
200 episodes?
Yeah, they had a deal to do 200 episodes. And I thought, Stephen Bochco is asking me, and Mama's Family is asking me, and I have to think about it.
Wow.
And I called Stephen back and said, okay, I accept your offer.
Did you at least get to guest star on Mama's Family?
No, I never did. They hired me from an audition. And
what was the character?
It was the one who escaped from the loony bin.
Yeah.
I wanted to do that really badly, but oh well, you make your life choices like that.
Right.
And neither one of them would have been bad. But
no, they would have both been really good. I mean, 200 episodes is a lot of episodes.
I know. I know.
Yeah, but that's such a great show. Anything that was attached to Carol Burnett, incredible. Just unbelievable. Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, we loved you on American Vandal. It was nice seeing you pop up on that one.
American Vandal. Oh, I love those people.
Yeah, that was a good show.
Oh yeah, it was a really good show.
It was quirky. It was a little different. We loved it. We had a good time with that one.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed doing that show. They were terrific.
Yeah. Was there a role at some point in your life that you turned down that turned out you were like, oh, maybe I should have taken that one?
No, I rarely turn down anything.
Why would you if you could do it?
Yeah, really. No, I don't ever. I don't think there's anything I've ever turned down that I went, oh, I should have done that. The only time, I've had to not do things because I was doing something else, a conflict. Yeah. But other than that, no, I don't. I mean, okay, I turned down an Adam Sandler movie once because, what I really hate is when people think it's funny making fun of old people.
Well, now that I'm getting closer to that, I agree.
Yeah, it's not funny, having them say, dirty words or, it's a cheap shot. So
my mother would say that's bathroom humor.
Exactly. I turned that down. Regrets, never look back. Yeah. No, I'm sorry, I have a little frog in my throat. Yeah, I'm happy with the choices I've made. I I I enjoyed my career, and as I said, if I never worked again, it would be okay with me. I've
Well,
been real.
at this point, you've done so much, but
Yeah, you think
I
I've done?
hope you keep working. We love it when you show up.
Oh, thanks. I hope I do. I hope there things come up. I don't want to work that hard anymore.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, this role on this show, the Ted Danson show, that's about all I want to do. I'm fine. So if I can get a good meaty character and just do it in a short amount of time, so um, I'm fine with that. Yeah, I I have other things I do in my life that I need time for. Um,
Well, is it like if you ever decide to stop acting, will you cast or will you just retire?
oh, I would retire, but I tell people actors don't retire unless you
Right.
unless you can't remember the lines anymore. Excuse me. Unless you can't remember the lines, and that's the time to stop. Unless you find somebody willing to hold up cue cards for you. But most actors want to keep working until they drop dead on stage.
Yeah.
It would be an inconvenience for the production, but
Well, it's
but
kind of like ball players. They never want to stop playing until
no,
they just have to. It's kind of
yeah,
see that with actors. If you love what you're doing, why would you want to stop?
yeah. I mean, I think it's the one. I mean, athletes are kind of mandated by virtue of injuries or age
Right.
or whatever, but actors don't really have any constraints on them unless it's memory or you get so ill you can't stand up. But then there are always the wheelchair roles.
Yeah.
So you could do those too.
Well, it even we've had actors over the years that have retired at a fairly young age, but they
Really?
usually don't stay retired. At
Yeah.
some point, they come back.
Yeah, I can't really imagine that. I can't really imagine retiring. I mean, I like to keep busy, which is, I surround myself with a lot of busyness. Um, and I have things I want to do in my life.
Well, yeah, of course. Do you do theater anymore?
I haven't done a play for about 6 years. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
May I say it's a lot of work. And if it's a lot of lines, I don't really like. I did. A friend of mine asked me to do this short thing, 37 pages,
Yeah.
and he found somebody to shoot it, the cameraman, the director, all these people, like a serious production, but we had to do it in 2 days, and I thought I was going to die. There was a point at which there was a back door to the stage, and I thought I could just go out the back door, get a lift home, and never talk to him again. I stuck with it. We finished it, but I really thought there were points that I thought I could just like fall over and die from this. Um, of having to learn the lines it's just us two people back and forth, 37
Yeah.
pages.
That's a lot, though.
It's a lot, and I after it was all done, and after I recovered and spent some time in the hospital. No, just kidding. But but I thought, well, I did it. I'm very proud
Yeah.
of it. I did it, but I never want to do it again. And
That's
and
so much dialogue. I don't know how you would learn all that
uh,
in a short period of time.
and you're struggling with the words so much that you can't really think about the content. You can't think
Right.
about even what your character is trying to accomplish in it. You just want to get the words out. But when I talked to the director not long ago, who was really putting the final touches on it, and he said it came out beautifully and that we were so magical together. And I said, that's because we were both staring at each other with what are the lines? We're like connected by that. What are the next words coming out of our eyes? Um, but we'll see how that turns out.
I'm sure it'll be terrific, but that's impressive.
Thank,
37 pages. That's a lot.
thank you very much for acknowledging that. I really appreciate it.
That's a lot. I mean, I know how much trouble I have memorizing anything.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, 37 pages, there's no way. Maybe 40 years ago I could have. Not
You
now.
know, one thing when you're doing it every day, when I was doing LA Law and I had to learn stuff every single day, I had to be ready to shoot the next day. And we get a script and I may be shooting 3 days in a row, and I have to have all the lines down for the whole thing. And your brain, the muscle, your memory muscle, it gets worked out. And if you stop working like that all the time, I mean, I'm not the person who's going to sit around and try to memorize poetry to keep my brain working. It just doesn't interest me. But I'll read it, but I'm not going to memorize it.
Right.
And so that muscle gets kind of sad and weak.
Well, I guess that's true. If you're doing it every day,
Yeah.
you'd get used to it. Like your brain would get used to studying the words and learning it. So I guess it would get easier over time.
Oh yeah. So I'll just go along, bumbling along, and see what the next job, another job, see what happens, if I can memorize it or not.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll do great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Susan, thank you for taking a little bit of time with me. I was watching A Man on the Inside with my wife, and you came on screen, and I was like, I knew who you were. I was like, I know her.
So glad. I'm glad you knew me.
I wouldn't have like it took me a little while, and I was like, I don't know. I think maybe something's going on with her. With that, and then it turned out I was right.
But you didn't know it beforehand, right?
Oh no. It was I was definitely several episodes in before I figured the thing out. Yeah, for sure. And then it was I was just guessing. I didn't know.
Yeah.
You kind of figure it out right near the end, but
yes,
they're giving it away then.
yes. They're leading you to it.
Yeah.
Go this way. Yes.
It was kind of bittersweet because that sort of thing is actually happening out there.
Yes.
There's so many people suffering from dementia and struggling with memory loss and stuff. That type of thing is happening, and that person isn't doing it because they're a thief.
Right. No.
Yeah.
You have no idea how many people have contacted me about their parents, their husband, their wife.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really devastating.
I think it's worse than a physical injury.
Oh gosh, yeah. My mother had dementia.
Yeah.
But she had kind of aggressive dementia. She wasn't like really sweet. She was more like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, I've heard that can happen a lot.
Yeah. But it can go a lot of different ways. But any way it goes is a terrible thing.
Yeah, it's awful. And I thought you did such a good job portraying it in a way that was it made you be sympathetic to the character.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. So Susan, before I let you go, and this has been just a blast. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Anything else that you're working on that we haven't touched on?
No, can't think of a thing.
I'm excited for the other one. I hope that comes out soon.
Yeah, me too. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, cross my fingers. Are you on social media?
I am.
Where can we find you?
Well, I'm on Facebook, as name Susan Ruttan. I'm on Instagram, Susan.Ruttan. I'm on Threads. I think
Threads. Yeah. That's new.
Yeah, I think that's about everything. I'm not on TikTok, and now TikTok's illegal, so so nobody will be.
Yeah, that's right. I got a feeling that one's not going to be around.
No, but there I am.
Yeah, and it comes right up. I found you real easy.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Well, Susan, thank you so much. This has been terrific.
Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Oh, your wife, hello.
Oh, I will. Okay. She'll be thrilled to death. All right, hold on one second, Susan. Let me. How great was that? Susan is such a talented actress. I've been a fan of hers for, I don't know, 40 years, maybe longer, maybe closer to 50 years. It's been a while. She's terrific. my favorite character on LA Law. Not well, I won't say not close. I was at the time I was a Harry Hamlin fan, so between her and him were my favorite at the time. But over since LA Law has ended, I've really solidified my fanship of Susan's. I think she's terrific. A Man on the Inside is on Netflix now. I think it's 8 episodes, and we have more of the cast is going to be coming on. So if you're a fan of that show, keep stay tuned. We got more coming. I wanted to read through some of the shows that Susan has been on over the course of her career. There's a ton, so it'll take me just a minute, but I love to do this when we have somebody on that's been in just a ton of stuff as Susan has. So she has been in The Good Doctor, NCIS, Bob Hart's Abishola, Shameless, Mom, 911, Grimm, Grey's Anatomy, Hannah Montana, Castle. We talked about American Vandal, Ghost Whisperer, Boston Legal, Monk, CSI New York, Buffy, Gilmore Girls, Judging Amy, Touched by an Angel, Suddenly Susan, Third Rock from the Sun, Love Boat, The Next Wave, not the first one, but the second one. Let's see, LA Law, of course, the new Leave It to Beaver, Night Court, What's Happening Now, The Jeffersons. I think she played the wife of George Jefferson's rival in the dry cleaning business. I'm pretty sure that's who Susan played on Jeffersons. Newhart, Remington Steele, Benson, AfterMash, Quincy, Harper Valley PTA, and Bosom Buddies. I mean, that's amazing. And that's just a sample. There was a ton more, but that's just incredible. I thought Susan's such a terrific actress. I hope you enjoyed that one. Thank you for tuning in with us. We definitely don't take that for granted. Love to have your support. It's easy to do. It's free. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. Doesn't cost you a dime. Really helps us out. Our website is meistercon.com. You can watch or listen to almost 900 episodes and counting. So definitely check that out on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.